Please continue.
I am. The overtime in the firefighters, that's going up by $270,000 and actual after costs $431,055?
That is correct.
Okay, so you look at all this stuff, and at the end of the day, we're proposing, Mr. Bacamino's proposing to take how much more out of the rainy day funds?
$2,002,666.160.
And how much will that be total use of the fund balance?
I don't have that right in front of me.
All right, I'm going to make some statements now. You can have a seat, Mr. Malzek.
Thank you.
Last year, this council passed a tremendously bad budget, and the Macomb Daily took note. And I'd like to remind everybody what the Macomb Daily said, because I think it holds true today, because we're basically at the proposal I see before us that we got at the last minute surprise is the same budget from last year, or actually maybe even worse. I'm going to read this. Officials in Warren, this is from the Macomb Daily, June 29, 2010. Officials in Warren, Macomb County's largest city, could learn a few lessons from county government. Well, it's kind of hard to believe, but that's what they said. When the county first experienced large budget deficits and weak tax collections, the Board of Governors chose a head-in-the-sand approach and avoided any large budget cuts or major employee concessions. Instead, under the leadership of then-Chairman Bill Crouchman, the board grabbed millions of dollars from the county's rainy day fund and promised to make cuts sometime in the future. They also rejected any talk of a tax increase. But the county commissioners were ahead of the curve, both in feeling the effects of Macomb's decimated housing market and in failing to recognize the inevitable need to make tough decisions. Since then, they have been forced to raise taxes, lay off employees, and make significant cuts in services, just as financial advisors has predicted. Now the Warren City Council has taken a similarly cowardly approach in rejecting Mayor Jim Fouts' call for spending cuts and a small millage increase to balance the budget. By a 5-4 vote, the council decided last week to rely on budget gimmicks by taking $9 million from the city's fund balance and siphoning another $1.6 million from the city's Downtown Development Authority. Fouts was right to blast the council majority for short-sighted thinking that will make the city's long-term financial security more tenuous and put Warren's bond rating on Wall Street in jeopardy. Fouts had proposed a 0.9 mil tax increase that was projected to generate $3.5 million to shore up the police and fire pension fund. That millage would cost the average homeowner only $45 a year. The mayor also planned to use some of the money from the fund balance and negotiate employee concessions, perhaps including a 15% pay cut, to address a looming $9.5 million budget deficit. One alternative was laying off 23 police officers. When the city council took the easy way out, Fouts' executive director said the financial picture will become much worse next year because the council failed to deal with the city's structural budget deficit. The council majority is dealing, quote, with nickels and dimes, not millions of dollars, unquote, said Louis Schimmel, who has considerable experience in righting the ship for financially troubled cities. He has also warned that the deficit could double by 2014 if the city doesn't get its costs under control. But council members who are more worried about keeping their elected positions than listening to the city's in-house expert chose a different path. If Schimmel is right, if things are in a downward spiral next year, the Warren voters are fortunate that 2011 also marks an election year in the city. Come November of next year, an electorate that suffered through its own experience with layoffs and concession may want to send a message. They may want to remember those council members who were responsible in 2010. Just for the record, they are Scott Stevens, Keith Sadowski, Robert Bacamino, Patrick Green, and Stephen Warner. I yield.
Any further comments from council members?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Stevens.
I would like to remind the same people that Mr. Liss is speaking to, that at the risk of getting some ink flung at me, that the Macomb Daily has its own financial problems and should actually not comment on something like that. And when you look at what has taken place over the last 4 years, this council the people that have put forth workable budgets have cut $14 million, have not laid off an employee. All employees are still employed with the city. They have a job. We still maintain a AA rating. Mr. Liss wants to, I don't know what your position is on Kathy Voigt's committee to elect or whatever, but he wants to try and shine a bad light on things. And unfortunately, there are people that want to do something positive for this city, and we are doing positive things for the city with what we have to work with. We've lost over 32% of our revenue. For Mr. Liss to sit back and criticize when he didn't offer anything.
Madam Chair, I have a point of order. I did not criticize anybody a minute ago. I read a comment from Macomb Daily. Our procedures and resolutions prohibit council members from criticizing.
It was a veiled
Let Mr.
criticism. You
Stevens
named
finish.
names.
And you are doing the same. Please continue.
All right. And that's all I will say. at
Mr.
that.
Stevens?
Thank you.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
If I may, I wanted to correct a couple things that Mr. Liss said in that article, because again,
That would be
I
interesting.
I would hope that you would not take your financial advice from the Macomb Daily. Mr. Liss, so you
I
wanted...
still have the floor, and could we quiet the audience down, please?
Mr. Liss, you had asked for the fund balance. It would be 13.943897, and that's still a 15.5% fund balance. I just want to let everyone know that that fund balance is the highest in Macomb County. Our neighbor to the north, Sterling Heights, who is a very financially sound city, has a fund balance of less than 8%. So we have almost double the fund balance percentage of our neighbor to the north, Sterling Heights. I just want to let you know that. We've talked to our bond rating experts, the John Axe Corporation. We've talked to them. We are not in any way harming our bond rating. We're very sound on that. And then one last thing, to say we haven't done anything, in 2010, we had $103 million in expenses. This budget's proposed to be just a little bit over $90 million. So we've cut $13 million since in 2 years. So those are just some of the numbers that I just wanted to verify, because I don't like when I hear misreadings of facts. So I just want to let you know that, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mellon.
Madam Chair? I'm sorry.
One last comment I would like to make also, as far as reductions. The mayor, of his own accord, in 2006, the then Mayor Steenberg had a budget of $750,738. The mayor's 2012 budget is $580,063. On his own accord, he has reduced his own budget by over $250,000. So on an individual area, he's cutting that also. Members of this council looked at this budget that had substantial cuts and were hard-pressed to find more, to be completely honest with you. But there were other things that needed to be done. There were certain positions that needed to be maintained in the city. And so we had to draw money where the money was. And hence the name Rainy Day Fund. And if you haven't noticed, it's raining. And it's not only raining in Warren, it's raining through Michigan, and it's raining through this whole country. It's raining through the whole world. And I think that members of this council have done an exemplary effort in maintaining city services, getting the job done, and not raising taxes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Ms. Vogt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would the proposer of this modifications consider a line item budget through the chair to Mr. Bacamino? Would that be considered?
Mr. Bacamino, will you accept the line item budget as an amendment?
No, I'm happy with the department budgets.
Ms. Vogt, did you hear?
I think what I heard is no,
No.
he's happy with it as it is.
I'm happy with this as it is.
Okay. Are we, we're good with giving the HR director a raise in pay? I suppose we're good with the mayor taking $14,000 from an older employee and transferring it to his younger employee? Would the maker of the motion consider a reduction in personnel, specifically appointees that were supposed to have been cut from the budget? The deputy mayor, deputy commissioner, through the chair to Mr. Bacamino.
Mr. Bacamino, will you accept those amendments?
Just need clarification. What is the age of that older employee and the age of the younger employee you're referring to?
Well, I know the younger one is in her mid-20s, about
Do you have her
24,
exact
25.
age, or-
I'm sorry?
What is the age? You made reference to age again, and I was trying to get the age of the older employee that you're referring to and the age of the younger employee, so I can make an informed decision.
Okay. Well, let me put it this way.
Ageism is prevalent, and I'm trying to, you brought it up, so I would like to know, you mentioned their age. Do you know their ages?
I know the age of the younger one.
Okay, what is the older one?
The
I'm trying to
older
figure out
one-
the difference and how age has to do with this. This is a
Well-
budget, not an age issue.
Are you okay with the mayor taking money from a more experienced employee and giving it to the other one?
I don't base my performances on age or experience. I base it on job performance. And
Okay.
I'm not in front of that
All right.
department, Ms. Vogt. Age is not an issue with me.
Okay. But you're okay transferring money from one employee to another? Yes?
Where does it say that in here?
Well, Mr. Fouts admitted that he took $14,000 from one employee and gave it to another.
That's not in my proposal.
It's not in your proposal. I'm asking you if that's, a line item budget would prevent that.
This is my proposed changes to the mayor's budget, and
Okay.
it saves us money.
All right. So you're not, the cuts that are being proposed,
This is my change. If you have, this
I'm
is
sorry,
the changes I'm proposing,
I,
Ms. Vogt. It
thank
has-
you, Mr. Bacamino. I understand.
Thank you.
I understand.
It reduces what the mayor's budget by
Excuse
over
me.
$2 million.
I-
Mr. Bacamino, Ms. Vogt has...
Okay, I thought she was referring to me.
No,
Thank you.
no, you answered. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. You answered my questions.
You're welcome.
If we don't get the $2 million from the state, and I don't think anyone has any idea if we're going to get that $2 million or not, that's just thrown out there, then we really don't have much of any reduction at all. Last year, we thought we were going to get $1 million